If you've got a Roland TD10, a TD20, a TD30, or heck, even if you have a Roland TD25, there's a Roland digital upgrade package that comes with the TD50, the snare, and that ride cymbal, all for one low price. Is it worth the money? My thoughts on that are coming up. What's up? I'm Justin. Welcome to 65 Drums. If you want to keep on top of all things electronic drum related, then this is the channel to watch. Consider subscribing if you liked this video. So let's talk about this. This is a very interesting concept because most companies out there, they've never really made a package like this. In fact, this upgrade package is a first from Roland because they've never offered, a TD30 with a ride cymbal and a snare bundle before. They've never had to do that because in all the history of Roland, nearly every pad from every module just works together. That's one of the great things. You buy one Roland module, it probably works with whatever Roland pad you throw at it, except in certain cases like hi-hats and stuff. Sometimes the higher end hi-hats like a VH13 probably would not work very well with the TD1, that type of a thing. So Roland's never had to make this sort of package before. The reason for all this is that snare drum pad and that ride cymbal pad are all digital pads. That's why it's called the digital upgrade package. So the reason why they're using digital connections is that there are limits on how many sensors you can pack into a traditional snare drum pad. Usually you're just going to get an edge sensor and you're going to get some sort of head sensor, and that's about it. But what if you want to pack in a ton of different sensors? What if you want to pack in 11 different sensors? If you're going to go that route, you can't just have a 1/4 inch output or input, whatever you call it. You got to have some sort of, processor unit inside of it in order to handle all of that. And then of course, from that processor unit, you're going to have a USB connection running from the pad to the drum module. So there's always been limits on what electronic drums can do because they're all using, the exact same method. So this is the really confusing thing. They didn't go all in. They were like, we're not really sure. Maybe we'll just try it out with the ride cymbal and the snare. Or maybe they were only half done. Maybe they had just finished up the ride cymbal and the snare, and the Roland executives were like, come on, we need a new drum set out, so just throw out whatever you got. I don't know the reasoning behind this, but for whatever reason they chose, they decided just to have everything be regular analog pads except for the snare drum and the ride cymbal. Now, I feel like this was a missed opportunity on Roland's part because the hi-hats, I feel like, having 10 or 20 different sensors in a hi-hat would greatly improve its responsiveness. And so I would have rather given up the ride cymbal, performance increase with the digital ride cymbal. I wish they'd spent their time perfecting the hi-hats because there are no perfect electronic hi-hats out there. I don't care what, brand you buy. I don't care how much money you spend on the most obscure, electronic hi-hats out there. None of them will ever be 100% perfect, very, very similar to regular acoustic hi-hats. So I wish they'd spent their time and energy and R&D money on the hi-hats instead of the ride cymbal. But regardless, this snare drum and this ride cymbal pad, they're both amazing. They have a lot of different sensors in them. They have more advanced positional capabilities versus all other pads out there in the market from all other companies. They both sense the static electricity in your hands, so if you rest your hands on the ride cymbal, it will actually choke it. And it will choke it at the exact same sustained, decrease rate as if you'd pinched the edge of the cymbal. I actually tested both of those on the TD50K. And it's the same story on the snare drum as well, because if you rest your hand on that, it will sense that your hand is there, and then it will decide that you're probably trying to play cross stick, and so it will switch the sound of the rim to a rim click instead of a rim shot sound. So these are the advantages of having a digital type of a pad, because with the analog pad there's only so many sensors you can cram into those things, and with a digital hub you can literally plug in millions of different sensors for whatever you want to do, and it will handle it, and then it will output that signal to the drum module, which will process it. Now they really whiffed out on an opportunity here that they could have grabbed onto. They could have had a snare throw off for, that snare strainer. They could have had a regular looking acoustic style snare throw off, and that would have been amazing. They had the potential to do that because it's a digital pad. And the fact that Roland didn't do this, and Yamaha's over here with their dial on their snare drum pad that lets you tune up and down the snare and do the snare throw off, all from an analog pad, and Roland has a digital pad, and they didn't grab onto that opportunity while they had it, that really doesn't make any sense. So these snare and ride cymbal combo, it's amazing, and you're probably thinking, yes, Justin, I know how amazing this snare and ride cymbal combo is, but my bank account doesn't want to be raked over the coals just to get it. And that brings us to the next part of the conversation, talking about cost versus value. Is it actually worth buying? So let's take a look at the price of the upgrade package versus all the individual components themselves. So if you buy the package as is, it's $3,250. That's a heck of a lot of money. It's a lot of money. You could buy like an Alesis Strike and an Alesis Crimson, or like a TD25KV and a Roland TD11K. You could buy 2 drum sets for the price of this upgrade package that all it comes with is a ride cymbal, a snare drum pad, and a drum module. So Roland's at it again with their really, really high prices. Now, the price of the ride cymbal by itself isn't too bad, actually. $450. That might sound like a lot, but the ATV 18-inch ride cymbal, their electronic ride, I want to call it a digital ride, but it's not. It's an analog ride cymbal. But both of those are the exact same price. Pintech ride cymbals, I think they're a little bit cheaper. So it's not that Roland is gouging everybody. It's really expensive, but it's not terrible. What's really terrible is that snare drum pad. That snare drum pad is $700. So it just occurred to me that maybe there are acoustic snare drums that are $700. Let me go check out Guitar Center. Oh. Alright, so I thought $700 would cap out the price of any acoustic snare. That was incredibly naive on my part, because looking at the prices here, it looks like you can buy the DW Collector's Series snare for $1,500. And if you feel like spending even more money, you can buy the one from Tama for $2,600. I legit didn't know that there were snares out there that were that expensive. Now, regardless, we're talking about electronic, snares, but I thought that would be fun to look at. So talking about the TD50 drum module, it's what really increases the price of this package, because by itself, it costs $2,400. That's more expensive than the Mimic. And the Mimic is $2,200. You'd think it'd be more expensive than the TD50 because, Steven Slate Drums needs to make a cut out of it because they're doing a licensing agreement with Pearl to get the, the software over there. So even with all that money changing hands, you'd think that for some reason the TD50 would cost less because Roland's doing all the sounds internally and there's less money to be lost there. But no, TD50 is still more expensive because Roland. All right, so this is the main culprit on why this is so expensive. So if you add up all the money, how much do you actually save by buying them all together in this package? You'd think that Roland would give you a little bit of a cut on the prices to try to get you to upgrade. And they do. It's actually a little bit less expensive. If you bought everything separately, it would cost you $3,550. If you buy everything in the package, it's $2,250. So you're saving about $300 here. Really not that much. I wish they'd give you a bigger discount. You'd think Roland would do that to sort of move more units, but I guess they just didn't want to. For example, if they gave you a $700 cut on everything, then you could, go buy the package and then just sell off one of the pads and make some money. So I guess that's a reason why they don't want to cut the prices too much. But again, it's just kind of sad that they're not giving you more of a discount in price there. But wait a second, we haven't checked the used prices yet. How much would all this cost if you bought it used on eBay individually? Would you save money that way? And the answer is obviously yes, but also it's kind of hard to find TD50 stuff on eBay at the really low prices I'm going to mention. You have to be incredibly patient in order to find prices like this, because honestly, TD50 stuff is still pretty new. The TD50 wasn't announced back in 2008 or something. Not as many units are floating around on eBay right now. So here are the used prices I found. $1,830 for a used TD50. $255 for a ride cymbal. I was really surprised on that. I didn't think you'd find a price that low, but apparently that was a thing on eBay one day. And then you got the snare drum for $340. So adding up all the prices, it looks like you can buy this entire thing for about the same price as just buying one brand new TD50 drum module. And that's nice. The fact that you can buy all that for $2,425 used on eBay if you're incredibly patient and lucky and find everything for really good prices. Again, Roland prices on TD50 stuff are only going to go down. Everything goes down. I am finding this out myself, obviously, because I have a TD30 behind me, and I've watched the used prices for that go down and down. I've had people, contact me and they're like, hey Justin, if you're thinking about buying the Mimic, or if you're thinking about buying a Roland TD50, you might want to sell your TD30 sometime soon. So back to the beginning of this video, is it worth buying? Is it worth the money? Now, this is an interesting situation for me because that upgrade package would be perfect for the drum set behind me, because that ride cymbal is a CY15R, I believe, and it's 15 inches across or something like that. And it's just not very large. Not very large at all. Having an 18-inch electronic ride cymbal would fit a lot nicer with overall look. And then the TD50. I like my Roland TD30 module, but I like the TD50 sounds more. I just like it. It's a better module than my TD30. This right here is a matter of opinion, because I've had people tell me, hey Justin, I've played the TD30, I played the TD50, and I genuinely like the TD30 more. I like the sounds, all that stuff. And that's completely fine. That's awesome. But for me, I definitely like the TD50 more. I think it sounds nicer. I love the fact that it has 2 headphone ports on the front of it, a 1/4 inch and an 1/8 inch in. I like the fact that it has balanced XLR outputs, so I could leave my direct box at home, never use it again. I also love the fact that you can get multi-track USB MIDI audio. Right now I just get a stereo feed of audio if I plug a USB cord from my module to my laptop if I want to use the internal sounds. And a lot of times people just use their laptop to use Easy Drummer and Superior Drummer and stuff like that, and that's cool as well. But if for some reason you achieved a very specific sound that you can't, easily get inside of the, whatever software you're using, then having multi-track recorded audio over USB is absolutely insane. So there are little things about the TD50 that I really do like. There are less sounds though. There's some things I don't like about it. But overall, it would work great with my drum set. Absolutely love the idea. The price is way too high though. For my particular situation, I'm not willing to sell everything I have just so I can, buy this thing. It's way too much money for me. And so for my particular situation, I don't think the upgrade package is worth it. But what if I was 70 and I was sitting on a big fat pension every month and I didn't know what to do with my money, and I had an older Roland TD10 or an older Roland TD20, and I was feeling the age of it a little bit. I was feeling that it was a little bit dated. Some of the pads were starting to wear out. The upgrade package here would work perfect for that situation. You kind of just have to have a lot of money lying around. So that's the reason why I can't really recommend this upgrade package for most people. If you've got the cash and it doesn't hurt you in order to spend this money, then of course, go run out and buy it. I think it's an amazing upgrade package. I love the concept. I love the pads. I like the idea of this package. And if it was like, I don't know, $1,500 or something a little more reasonable, I might go buy it actually. But unfortunately, this thing is so overblown in price that most people out there, 99% of people, won't buy it. If you have the money to go buy this and you want to go buy it, more power to you. I absolutely love this thing. If you've ever played a Roland TD50 KV or a Roland 50K, you know what I'm talking about. The ride cymbal is amazing. Snare drum is amazing. The drum module is very nice. Not everyone likes the sounds inside of it. I happen to. But I think it's amazing, just not worth the price. Now I realize there are probably people out there that think that digital pads with a USB connection or some sort of digital connection like this, people think that this is some sort of niche elitist product that not many people will ever start using in mass. But do you really think that 50, 60 years from now, electronic drums are still going to be using one piezo for the rim, one piezo for the drum head, going to a 1/4 inch output to a drum module? Do you really think that's going to be the future of electronic drums? No. All electronic drums are eventually going to be digital in some way, shape, or form. More and more sensors are going to be crammed into this thing. The TD50 digital pads are like a glimpse into what that might look like. It's going to evolve from this eventually, but it's a glimpse at what it might look like. It'll kind of suck for the DIY guys, I know, because it's kind of harder. Every single pad's going to have some sort of Raspberry Pi set up inside of it. It'll be interesting to see how all this goes. Even if Roland backs off and goes all the way back to analog connections, I know this is where electronic drums eventually will be headed in the future. Of course, that's all one man's opinion. I want to know what you guys think of this. Do you like this upgrade package? Is it worth the money? Also, where do you think electronic drum pads are headed? I'm interested to find out. Read your comments. I'll see you guys in a few.